Okay, great. I think that everyone can hear me. Um, Again, a very good afternoon to everyone for joining the Open Mic with Disabilities for August edition. This is our sixth edition. We took a break in July because we had to do the Deep conference. If you joined the Deep conference with us in Lagos or virtually, I would really like to know. You can indicate in the chat, introduce yourself, let us know which organization or where you're joining from, whether it's an organization, whether you're joining as an individual. We would like to know. Again, this edition of Open Mic with Disabilities is going to be another, it's not just a conversation. We're not just talking because just to talk. We're looking for solutions, a solutions driven conversation to reduce the stigma and dismantle the stereotypes and collaborate for a more inclusive Nigeria. So thank you again. In a few minutes, we'll be kicking off as soon as I can confirm that my guest speaker for the day has joined. Feel free to share the link across your social media, hashtag Open Mic for Disabilities, and tag the IREDE Foundation on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever you are posting from. You just add the IREDE Foundation, and I'm very sure it's going to pop up. So, and the nuggets you're going to be getting from the conversation, feel free to tweet them, tag us, and let's keep the conversation going. So, in a few minutes, we'll be kicking off. So, please, I plead with you to just be patient for a few minutes and then we'll start the conversation. Thank you. So I just want the host, if you can hear me, can you please enable the closed captioning so that persons with hearing impairments can follow the conversation? So please enable closed captioning. Thank you. Okay, yes, thank you for staying with us. We'll be kicking off the conversation right away. Any moment from now, I should have our guest speaker joining us on the call. So, but a little bit of background on Open Mic with Disabilities and why it's important, why this conversation is crucial. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Deborah Yusuf. I'm Programs Associate with the IREDE Foundation, and I'm lead on the project DEEP, which is Disability Empowerment Employability Project, which is so Open Mic with Disabilities is a brainchild of DEEP. And if you've been following us for a while, you know that this is not the first edition of for this conversation. We've had one since February, and it was just in July we took a break on Open Mic to have the Deep Conference, which, by the way, was an amazing gathering of organizations of persons with disability, private sector, government, to converse on innovative, ways to ensure inclusive employment for persons with disability. We also used that conference to launch our recruitment toolkit for persons with disability, which is on our website. And you can just go to our website and download that toolkit. It's a very helpful. It comes with an M&E track list, a checker, just to ensure that employability is, for persons with disabilities made easy for HR professionals. And now this project is, supported by the Disability Rights Fund. It's because of the Disability Rights Fund that we're able to make, such impactful work with respect to inclusive employment. And I would go ahead I don't know if the host can hear me. Can you confirm if, just confirm to me when our guest speaker joins so that I can begin her introduction. But like I was saying earlier, please feel free to hashtag Open Mic with Disabilities on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram. You can post the nuggets you're getting from this conversation. And like it has always been our culture with this conversation. The reason why it's open mic is not just because I will come with a guest speaker and don't just talk your ear off. There's going to be a segment where we can contribute. You share, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't always have to be a question. You can share your story, you can ask a question, you can even share resources. This platform has been a platform where resources have been shared. In the last open mic with disabilities, we had a lot of resources that were shared for persons with disability to gain digital skills. So yes, please feel free to engage, network in the comment section, and let's have a very fruitful conversation. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much for your patience. We'll be starting right about now. Kindly confirm that my audio is still great, so I don't go on talking to myself. Okay, great. Thank you, Busayo. So, yes, again, we're on the sixth edition of Open Mic with Disabilities, and today we're going to be looking at a very crucial, important topic. If you've been following Open Mic for Disabilities, you know that we always, talk about very important topics around inclusivity, and today we'll be looking at breaking the walls, the future of inclusive education in Nigeria. This is a very, very important topic, talking about education, because education is like the bedrock, is the background to inclusive employment, which is essentially what deep is about. And I would like to go ahead. I just want to confirm that she has joined. Oh, great. I guess I was looking for a different name, Miss Tobiloba Ajayi. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's an immense honor and pleasure to have you speak on this very important topic, especially because I'm just a fan of the work that you do. And so let me introduce others and to you. Let me introduce our participants on the call to you, and then we'll delve into the conversation. Right. So, Miss Tobiloba Ajayi has over 16 experience working with various organizations in disability management sector in different countries. She holds a degree in law and was called to the Nigerian bar in 2008. She also holds a master's degree in international law. She started by working on disability policy as a member of the Nigerian Vision 2020-20 policy drafting team, and went on to work with various NGOs in a quest to improving the lives of persons with disabilities. In March 2017, she launched the Let Cerebral Palsy Kids Learn Foundation to promote inclusive mainstream education for children with cerebral palsy in Nigeria. This was born out of a realization in 2016 during her Mandela Washington Fellowship Professional Development Experience that children with cerebral palsy were being excluded from mainstream education by the school system in Nigeria. To date, the foundation has provided support to 8,500 plus children and their families, and also enabled over 130 of these children to access inclusive education, which is the topic we're going to be talking about today. Each family accesses continuous counseling, referrals, school placement support, and school readiness assessment. The project has also trained over 1,000 teachers in its bid to address the knowledge and skill gap of mainstream classroom teachers to engage children with cerebral palsy in their classroom. Mr. Biloba is also an eight-time published author, five of which are books in the Cerebral Palsy Roller Coaster series, a series of books that cover various areas of managing a cerebral palsy diagnosis. I mean, our hands, the emoji should be going up in applause as about now, to just, acknowledge the incredible work that Ms. Tobiloba has done in the past years and continues to do. I have met her personally, and I'm telling you, once you have a conversation with her, you cannot just leave the same. And I'm hoping that we all get to, learn from this. Ms. Toby, please, if you're on the call, kindly just turn on your video if you can, and then unmute yourself. Thank you. Um, um, can we unmute Miss Tobiloba? Can we do that? I think maybe if we have, because we're probably looking for a wrong handle. So if we have your hands raised, we'll be able to quickly just identify and unmute. Okay, Miss Toby, can you hear me? Probably network issues.
Okay. Hi Debbie.
Hi.
Can you hear
Apologies
me?
for the link issues, by the way. It's great to have you.
Yes.
I can't hear you. I don't know if you're able to turn on your video
I
or we should just go
need
ahead.
I need host permissions to turn on my video, so you kind of need to give me permission to do that.
Oh, great. Thank you. Please, sorry about that. Host, can you please
No problem.
give access to turn on video?
Hi Debbie, Toby. Yeah, she has access now, so she should be able to turn on her video and have course
Okay.
permission. So we are good to go.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Yeah, great.
Okay. So my video yeah, my video's coming up shortly, but we can go on while we're
Yes.
working on that.
Yes, I can see you now. Great.
Okay, great.
Um, Thank you so much for making the time to join this conversation, by the way. I really do
You
appreciate
are
it.
welcome.
And since we're a bit behind time, I just want to just go straight into the into the conversation essentially. So our topic today is breaking the walls, the future of inclusive education in Nigeria. And you do a lot of work around inclusive education. But when we talk about, I just want to start by this question. When we talk about breaking the walls in education, what are the visible and invisible walls that you think are most entrenched in Nigeria's education system when it comes to children with disability? Because a lot of times it's easy to just see the visible walls. You say, okay, there is no a ramp, oh, there is no that, but there are lots of invisible issues that deeply contribute to the education system and how it's not inclusive enough for children with disabilities. So
Okay, so I mean, so when we talk about, I think the first thing is the value question. And this is an attitudinal, this is a psychological thing. When the average Nigerian sees a person with a disability, they don't see value, they see a liability. And so that lack of value is one of the most entrenched issues, because once you don't think that a person has value, expending the value to provide education to that person becomes something that now becomes optional. So you now begin to think about it like, oh, if I provide you an education, I'm doing you a favor. You should be grateful for whatever I give to you, and you don't have the right to complain. I mean, it's not like you intrinsically have value anyway. So there is that. There is the there is just the lack of value that we place on people with disabilities, whatever type of disability it is. Once a person has a disability, we automatically consider them to be less valuable, to be able to contribute less, to be able to have less value than the average person. And so that is one of the most, and that drives a lot of things. So the physical barriers you're seeing is driven by that lack of value. The fact that you don't think that people with disabilities have value is why you will build a public building and not thinking about putting in a ramp. And when somebody asks you, you say things like, how many of them even visit here? So why should I bother? Because in your mind, these people are not people who can offer value to you. They are the people who come to take charity from you. So why should you bother? Yeah. So it's a value question. And so that then drives things like attitudinal beliefs. So you then see even the attitude of even the teachers is more of I'm kind of stuck here. I don't care whether they learn or not. And then you also see that same issue in how parents and caregivers even talk about and treat their own children with disabilities. So the biggest barriers are in our minds, in how we view people with disabilities. And I know the next question would be, where does that come from? That comes from both two things. It comes from culture, it comes from religion, right? Especially religion, because religion has shaped culture, unfortunately, for us as a people. And certain religious beliefs lead you to think that if a person has a disability, is either they are being punished by God or the devil is the devil. And as a result, nobody wants to associate with somebody that is being punished by God or the devil is investing. So why should we even be bothering to? Then you're not asking me to educate that kind of person. Are you for real? Yeah, you see. And then there's culture. Culturally, people with disabilities are seen as they're just a problem in many cultures. This is the devil. I know a culture in 2025 that actually believes that a child with cerebral palsy is a snake and needs to be thrown into the forest so that the child can go back to his snake companions that sent him to the world to torment his parents. So how in the world do you expect a parent who grew up in that mindset to have a child with cerebral palsy and think of educating that child? It's not going to happen. She's thinking how to get rid of the snake that came to her family and the reason why the snake even came in the first place. Yeah. So those are the entrenched, unspoken beliefs that drive these barriers that we now start talking about. And until we deal with those mindsets, well, we can keep trying to cut the leaves, the roots will continue to, they'll continue to grow.
Mr. B, thank you so much for that perspective, because a lot of the times, even people would not want me to over these attitudinal issues, and then that are influenced by our cultures and our religion. But I know that this is part of the core work that you do. So in the process, my question would be that in the process of trying to ensure inclusive
So I think we're trying to get the host back. So let's just give her a few minutes.
Okay.
But the conversation can still go on.
Yeah, I
because
didn't get the question.
she can just. Can
I
you
didn't
hear
get
me?
her next. Yeah, I can hear you, Busayo, but I didn't get her question before.
Yeah, I also didn't get a question before she dropped off. But again, I think I can just sort of continue the conversation. Then when she comes in, we can take it from there.
Sure.
But when she's back, she can unmute and just
right.
Because I see that she has joined. But again, let me just touch on the data, a very important data that I'm just looking at right in front of my screen now before Debbie comes in, right? So I see, according to UNICEF, right, that roughly 95% of children with disabilities in developing countries, including Nigeria, do not attend school, right? And before we even look at it, right, what stands out for me is that they do not attend school, and this is not even looking at what are the predominant reasons that these people or this cluster do not attend school. And just to look at the data more further, it says that there's a disheartening possibility that 90% of them may never receive basic education in their lifetime. And it's just shocking, right?
Absolutely.
That over 90%. So if you should even look at the entire population, it's just like you said, 90% of the future of a particular country or the future of Nigeria, for example, because we all say children are the future, children are the heritage, children are this and that, right? 90% may never get basic education. This is not saying they are attending school, they are graduating, they are going to university, right? So this data alone, it's crazy. So what do you think are the predominant challenges that sort of affect or that's behind this data or that's behind these numbers, right? I don't know what it is, right? You are the expert in this field, so you can give us more background knowledge and we can just sort of take the conversation from there.
Like I already said, first of all, I mean, and this is data from developing countries. So this is not just a Nigerian problem. So first of all, religion, culture, and attitudinal barriers play a role. For a child to access education, first, the family must believe that the child is deserving, right? Because in developing countries, there's no government that is forcing you to put your child in school. So the family must first believe that the child is deserving of education. And I will tell you for free, a lot of families of children with disabilities don't think that it is a worthy investment, because you and I know that most of education in Nigeria is private. It's private schools that are providing 70 to 80% of the education in the country, especially in the primary and secondary school level, right? So when it comes to basic education, a lot of families do not think that it is a worthy investment to spend money on a child with a disability. So then there's also, of course, the reality of poverty. Poverty plays a role. That's why poverty is the big reason why Nigeria has the highest number of out-of-school children in the world, disability or not. Yeah? So poverty plays a role. And of course, healthcare ties into poverty, because when children have disabilities, it means that they have healthcare conditions that need to be attended to, right? Now, the cost, when parents have to weigh which one they will rather pay for, e.g., cost of medication versus cost of school fees, they will choose cost of medication, right? So therein lies all the issues that kind of play into this. People, first there's the attitudinal, there's the religion, there's culture, and then there's also just the sense of value. Like, is it a worthy investment to put my child in school? And then there's also, of course, if I have to make a choice between this child's medication versus this child's school fees, I'll choose their medication. Or if I have other children, I would rather invest money in those ones, because what will this one, what will be the return on investment on this one? All right, so there you go. Those are the reasons why.
I have follow-up questions, but Debbie is back, so I will just leave my own part to the end of the session, right? So
Not
Debbie can continue.
Thank you so much, Busayo, for jumping in. I guess my network was playing a fast one on me. I don't know if you got the question I was asking before.
I didn't get the question. Please take the question again.
All right, great. So I was asking about the work that you do, considering these barriers that we've identified, the cultural barriers, the religious barriers, poverty levels, and all of that. How are you still able, because I know that you've attained some level of success, are you still able to, break through those barriers? What are the things that you do to break through those barriers to ensure that education is inclusive for cerebral palsy kids? What are some of the things we can learn from the work you do?
I think for me, what it was to take a step back and understand what the issues were, and then begin to systemically deal with the issues. So when I was going to start Let's CP Kids Learn, one of the first things I did was to listen to everybody. I listened to the parents. I listened to their frustration about schools rejecting their children. And I hear you. I'm as angry as you are. Okay, but then let me go and listen to the school now. So no, first I went and listened to the teachers. Classroom teachers, what's the problem? My parents are saying you people are rejecting us. What did we do to you people? And then the teachers tell me, look, number one, we don't know how to teach your children. We don't know how to teach you people. I'm like, I don't understand. I thought you just teach children. I said, no, but what do you do when the child cannot write? Or the child never sitting, they sit down and they don't fall down. So I realized our teachers don't have teacher training. So we need to fill this gap. And then I went and said, okay, heads of schools, what's your own problem? You guys are the ones that are making these admissions decisions. Why are you turning my children back at the door? School owners were honest, especially private schools, because they are the and one of them broke down to me. She said, look, other parents don't want to see a child that looks like you in their child's class. So by admitting a child that looks like you, I will lose the admission of 10 typical children. It has become a mass question. I'd rather keep my 10 and let your one go. Let my money be complete. So I was like, okay, thank you for being open enough to share that with me. And so that then informed our method. I knew that first things first, we needed to do a lot of demystifying cerebral palsy. I needed to, it became almost a job to make cerebral palsy attractive. And it became my job for, like, I became this lone screaming voice on social media for a couple of years, to the point where one of my friends, Grace Jerry, said to me, Toby, you make cerebral palsy look almost sexy. I was like, job done. It has to look good. Because I have to make this thing look good. Perception has to change, because perception creates reality. So I had to, first thing that I had to do was to change the perception around cerebral palsy. The perception that had surrounded cerebral palsy before I came on the scene was the perception of these unfortunate children that need help. Hello? Do I look unfortunate to you? I have a freaking master's degree. Let's start there. So look, people with cerebral palsy can have master's degrees too. They're smart. They're beautiful. We need to really, really put that on the map. And so it became about that. And the next step was to fill the teacher training gap. If the teachers didn't know what to do, there was nothing we could do. We couldn't put children in school with teachers that didn't know what to do with them. We would still be in the same place we are now. So we developed a teacher training curriculum and started to deploy this to schools, started to train teachers on how to teach children with cerebral palsy in their mainstream classrooms. We're not telling you to create a separate classroom. It's the same classroom you're already teaching in. This is just what you're going to be doing differently. This is how you're going to be adapting teaching and learning for these children. We started to deploy that teacher training. And then, of course, we then started to work with parents to see what are the issues. So poverty came up. A lot of parents, by the time I pay for therapy, by the time I pay for medication, I don't have anything left over to pay school fees, even if I wanted this child to go to school. So we started to raise funds for a scholarship. So when we found parents who were intentional, we then started to provide social. But even before that, we started to work with very their income brackets, no matter how low. I mean, I remember working with trained teachers in their schools, because their local schools at the time were charging as low as 15,000 naira a term. And so those schools were for low income earning parents. And so it was fantastic. And that was how we were able to then, create this ripple effect of success that we can now build on today to then say what is possible. And that's what we've had to do.
That's amazing. That's really profound. It's really amazing. I think the follow-up question I have to that is that, because I know we've had this conversation off the camera, off Zoom before around, you know, specific needs for different categories of disability. So my question is just about your
Absolutely.
curriculum. Is the curriculum designed specific? I know specifically for like kids with cerebral palsy, or it can be adapted for the range of children with different kind of disabilities. Because I know you said they don't have to separate them into different classes. And because that's like one of the huge
So
barriers that people think when they think inclusive education, they think, oh, I have to put them together. Do I have to separate the blind from those with hearing impairments
no.
from those with? So they always think
Mm.
about it from that. So I just want to know this methods that you're using. Is
So
it?
our curriculum is designed strictly for teaching children with cerebral palsy in mainstream classrooms. However, those who have taken the training have said that the training has helped them to work with children that have other disabilities apart from cerebral palsy. But I would tell you, from a curriculum design perspective, I designed it strictly to help teachers know how to teach children with cerebral palsy in mainstream classrooms. Like I always say, I have never said that I speak for the entire disability community. I have
Yes.
never tried to. I don't plan to ever try to. I strictly speak for what I know, which is cerebral palsy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for clarifying that. So my follow-up question would be, especially, in a world, a country where we do a lot of, policy work, you have also contributed to excellent policy work with respect to Vision 2020, and then we do a lot of laws, the CRPD, there are Disability Rights Act 2018. So there are a lot of those laws, but it appears that implementation is always like grueling, like it's like a lot of work to actually get it to be done. So beyond when you are done with all the policy drafting, the briefs, the passing of the bills and laws, then implementation becomes like a stone wall. Then, with that, bearing that in mind, what do you think right now that OPDs, CSOs, government should be focused on when it comes to achieving inclusive education? What do you think, like, is primary before, like, in the chain? You can give me an order. You can just go ahead and answer it in the
I
way
honestly
that you
think
think
that
that.
I think the first thing is that we first need to fix our mindset. Everybody need to fix the way we think about people with disabilities, and it starts from government. If because every time I look at how government approaches disability, they approach it from we're doing you a favor perspective. And as long as they continue to think that they're doing people with disabilities a favor, we will never really do anything right. We'll never implement anything correctly. So until we fix our mindset, and I'm not going to leave people with disabilities out of this one. Everybody's going to collect, because until people with disabilities themselves start treating themselves with dignity, I'm sorry, but you will take what you get to. You will take what you get. Because I remember every single time I've tried to speak to somebody from a government agency about, we need to implement our laws in the way that they're rating, we need to do this. They will say to me, the ones that are really close to me will say to me, your people need to decide what they want. Do they want bags of rice or do they want education? They should choose one.
Can't we want
Like,
both? Can't the community need both? It's not even a matter
at
of
this
want.
point, the government will tell you that I don't have money to do both. So you people will pick a struggle. And since bag of rice is easier and your people like it, we'll continue to give them bag of rice. So you continue to sell your future for food. And I understand. I understand that poverty is called the weaponization of poverty by government. It's okay. But when we continue to allow poverty to be weaponized against us, we'll pay.
Yeah.
Because the government
Yeah.
will tell you that they can't do it all. And that's the truth. Government cannot do it all. And so they will pick what is easiest, especially when we cannot speak with one voice as to what we want. So if we're going to, first we need to fix attitudes, and then that will now fix, because when we think that children with disabilities are valuable, it will change how we treat them. That's when we can now start talking about, we need to now talk about how we're even constructing our classrooms, how we're training our teachers. I've said it over and over. what is the rationale behind College of Education Special, then College of Education? Why are we not training all our teachers to teach all our children? It will cost us less. And our teachers will have better training, because the money you are using to maintain two separate schools, two separate set of teachers, if you put it together, and you know that, okay, all our teachers are getting the same training, won't we have more money to invest in training of those teachers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it makes perfect sense. And I even see it, not just from the education lens, it also helps to bridge the gap around, discrimination, stigmatization, because you are
exactly.
you are involved in the community. You are not isolated and saying, oh, you have this. And I think that if we are able to do that, it will even solve other issues we're not thinking of when we're solving that. That
Exactly,
is really
because when we build inclusion into, it might look like, and I'm gonna give you an example. In my former church, I insisted that we were going to have a ramp entrance because I am a worker there. So I sat on our building committee and I said that unless people want to chase me from church, we have to have a ramp. Eventually, I mean, it took some convincing, but eventually they built the ramp. Guess what? That is everybody's favorite entrance in that church till today. And now I remind them, I'm like, but when I was asking for this ramp, it was Toby's problem. Now it's everybody's door. Hey, you people should leave it now. It's Toby's problem. But everybody loves it. New mothers who have strollers. Even when guest ministers want to come in, they prefer to come in through the ramp entrance. And I'm like, oh, but I thought it was my ramp. Why are you people now using it? Why is there a crowd at the ramp after service every Sunday? You people should go and use the stairs, please. Like, you people, respect the ramp. Leave it for me. And it becomes a running joke. But the thing is that when we build inclusively, we serve everyone.
It does. And I think that's another critical mindset shift that we need to have, like, as a country, as a people. Because again, like, as you speak, I'm just seeing how this solves a lot of other problems that we think that we are trying to isolate to solve, and we are wondering why we are not making a lot of progress.
Isolate and solve.
Yes. So I think this sort of now leads me to my second question, which is, it's easy to think when you begin advocacy around whether it's inclusive education, inclusive employment across, disability issues. It's easy for the approach or the reaction to be that, oh, we don't have money, there's no money, Nigeria is broke, or this sounds too big to achieve. There's that disposition which we've already, spoken to. But then again, we already know about scarce funding when it comes to education generally. Then now we are trying to advocate that, okay, you know what, you don't need special college of education. You don't need necessarily need a school of the deaf. Yes, the ones that exist can continue. But to make this truly inclusive and to students and make them look like they're, how do you think that we can achieve that advocacy with respect to telling government, donors, that this is not, we're going to be actually spending less if we're doing this thing the right way, as opposed to then the way they think about it, that, oh, we are going to spend a lot of money, we don't have money.
Okay, so I think that we need to be serious about showcasing people that are already doing it right. And then, but we also need to showcase demands and say, if they had separated it, this is what would have cost. Now that they're doing it inclusively, this is what it's costing. Because I'm a lawyer, so I have to come with evidence. I don't have energy for an emotional debate. Let's just come with numbers.
Yes.
This is how much it will cost to run two separate schools. If they run the schools inclusively, this is what it costs per term. The numbers. And then begin to then show donors, government, show stakeholders, and say, this is what inclusive education can look like. On the upfront, when we're training teachers, it might look like a bit of more work, but in the end, this is the cost savings over time. That's it.
Yes, and to make for a better society.
That's if our society will allow us to defy status quo, because we're very bougie on what is not required. We're still big on segregation is in our blood. So yeah. because
I
people
mean,
still
I mean
go,
that's why we have outliers like you and a lot of others are doing this amazing
yeah,
work and we
because there are still
continue to
people who,
radically.
I mean, people still ask me, so I get what you're trying to say, but I'm not really sure. As in, I'm not really sure I want my children in the same class with those kind of children. No. I still hear that comment quite a lot. People who are thinking, I don't want my child associating with a child who has autism, or I don't
Cerebral palsy.
want my child associating with a child who has Down syndrome. I still hear it from parents. So I say that to say we might have all the good intentions, but as long as people will either be the drivers or the frustrators of your good intentions. If the people who are supposed to if the school owners keep losing me when they're trying to be inclusive, then it will be something that as much as they want to do, they will not find motivation to do it.
Yeah, that's just so true. That's so true. So before we carry on the conversation, I noticed that we had new participants join, and I just want to welcome you to the sixth edition of Open Mic with Disabilities with Miss Tobiloba Ajayi. I made our introduction earlier in the conversation, and we've been having very, very engaging conversation with respect to breaking the walls, the future of inclusive education in Nigeria. There's going to be a segment where you can share your story, ask a question. So please, you can either type it in the comment section when that time comes, or you can request for the mic and video and to ask your questions. Albert, very succinctly and precisely so that we can maximize our time. Now we'll go back to the conversation. So, Mr. B, we've been talking a lot about what needs to be done, the gap within teachers training, cultural, religious mindsets that hold us back, and then a perception that this is too expensive, and then of course the charity model. Now I want us to dive into technologies. There's a lot of ball. It appears sometimes, I don't know if I'm a skeptic, or sometimes I just feel like everybody's saying technology solves everything. And I'm like, I'm not, is it solving the things that we needed to solve? So I don't
To
know, in the
solve,
course of
or we
your
are just
work,
taking everything.
exactly. So in the course of your work, have you, encountered any low-cost technologies that can be deployed in fast-tracking
Absolutely.
inclusive education? Have you used
Absolutely.
any?
Absolutely. I'm the queen of low cost. There are quite a good number of options. The first one I always teach our teachers as simple things like text to speech, right? And I go to your settings. I know that because it's not your problem, so you don't even know it's there. But if you go to your settings on your smartphone, no matter how text to speech. So I always say that, it's that I always say that look, if you're looking for low cost tech options, text to speech is one thing that's fantastic for our children with cerebral palsy, especially the ones that are non-verbal but can manage to type. They can use text to speech to communicate. And then there's also just voice recording. For a lot of our children with cerebral palsy who don't have fine motor skills to take notes, one of the things that I tell parents to do is go and buy a basic voice recorder, or go and buy a basic what we call a palasa phone. They always have the voice recording option in those palasa phones. Then your child uses it to record all their lessons in class. When you get home, you transcribe it into a note or something. Yeah. There's also Live Transcribe, which is a free Google app called Live Transcribe that can actually transcribe. So that becomes speech to text. So as you're speaking, it turns it into text. That's very simple. And then of course there's things like pencil and pen grips that are very affordable, and they make the difference between a child being able to grip a pencil or not being able to grip a pencil or a pen at all. So those are basically like low cost things that can help with things like pencil grip or lack of speech in the classroom. And then of course the other thing that I am big on is how we deal with the lack of access. Because whether we like it or not, some people are not going to be able to access a classroom. So how do we deal with the lack of access? And there's a Nigerian solution that I ran into a few years ago called the talking books. Now, the talking books is basically Nigerian curriculum compressed into a basically allows children to learn the Nigerian curriculum from primary 1 to 6 in the comfort of wherever they are, because the pen can actually be recharged with a tiny solar panel. And at that time, I think it cost less than I don't know about now, but back then for the whole thing, so primary 1 to 6, the books plus the pen, I think it cost about maybe about what, $50 at the time, and it was a worthy investment versus what parents would have paid for 3 terms times 6 years, which would be 18 terms of school fees, right? So that didn't require access to the internet, because every time that Africans want to text something, there's always the need for internet, and I'm always laughing like, you would think that these people that are apping and taking everything, they actually have the internet connectivity across the country for this thing they are apping and taking. Like, shift. We need to be realistic. Like, and that was why I loved the learning books, because it didn't require you to have access to the internet. As long as you had access to the sun, a child could at least get basic education, which was primary 1 to at least primary 6. So these are low-tech solutions that I've found over the years that have been excellent at ensuring that our children are able to access education.
Well, that's amazing. I hope our audience are finding these resources being shared very beneficial, and to just spread across the community, so people know that, okay, yes, you can access this very low cost technologies, as has been called out by Mr. B. And still on technology, by the way, I just want to go the AI route, because AI is so much, everything everyone is talking about.
Everything is AI now, I mean.
Everything is AI. Everything is AI.
Okay.
I'm like, so have you come across any AI technology that's really helpful within our context, not in the global north, within the global south context? Have you come across any AI technology that is going to help inclusive, education designs? Yes.
Maybe one, and it's not for education per se. It's actually for I think it's for post-secondary education, and it's called Rafiki AI. It was developed by my friend Ahmed Kayode Alabi of KLCI, and it basically bridges the gap. You know that thing where students finish secondary school, but they don't, because a lot of them don't have access. I mean, university education is not for the average person anymore in Nigeria. So the question then becomes, what do I do next? And that's where Rafiki AI comes in. He helps them look at their strengths and points them in the direction of what they could do next, even without access to a university education or post-secondary education. And the beautiful thing with Rafiki AI is that it runs on WhatsApp.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yes, Rafiki AI runs on WhatsApp. So it's not expecting you to be overly techy. Plus, I think that it's also being translated into like local languages. So you can actually chat with Rafiki AI Pidgin. I think that they've added Yoruba, Kiswahili, so young people where they are. And for me, that's a fantastic innovation that truly works for Africa.
Absolutely. I mean, do well to check Rafiki AI. I will get the spelling correctly, and maybe watch out for our social media
I'll put it
pages
in
when
the
we're doing.
chat. Yeah,
Thank you
I'll
so
put it
much.
in the chat.
And then just check it out, share those resources so that more people, can access and the resources that improves their lives and outcomes. So I think that before we round up this conversation, because this conversation is typically supposed to last for an hour, but we started late, so bear with me. We're going to overshoot by a couple of minutes, and I'm sure that the conversation is interesting enough, and we're getting a lot of things. Please, we'll soon get to the question in a few minutes. So yes, Muturayo, she's going to be dropping that in the comment section. So just in the chat box. So just look out for it. She'll spell out the AI tool. Just look up, and we'll also share it after the conversation. So my last second to the last question is about tips, parenting tips. Because honestly, if you have a child with disability, as much as we know that you should look at that child with value, it sort of throws a lot of parents off. They don't know what to do, they don't know how to navigate, and then they end up, like you've said in our previous conversations before, they end up raising the disability as opposed to raising a whole
The
child, and
child.
that will influence whether they are going to take that child to a school or not, or how they're going, how they essentially determine the destiny of the child. And they think that
Absolutely.
it is disability that is determining the destiny of the child, not knowing that it is their
It's them.
parenting style.
It's them. It's their parenting.
Exactly.
Yes.
So how can
When I
parents, guardians navigate that?
think that the first thing when you have a child with disability is to first deal with your own bias as a parent. And be honest with yourself and your own bias. Because whether you like it or not, you yourself are coming with religious and cultural biases into that parenting. So if you are so if you don't deal with the fact that in your mind, you first of all are like, this cannot be my child. This is not my portion in Jesus' name. Deal with that. And then you have to, and if it takes therapy, please go for therapy. Get to the point where you're like, you know what? This is my child. And I am going to raise the child that is in front of me. I'm not going to get caught up in what, the coulda, woulda, and shouldas of this world. What should have been, what could have been, what would have been if the doctor did his job well. What has happened has happened. And so your job then becomes, this is not what I planned for. It was what I ordered was not what I got. However, I'm going to deal with what I got. What did I get? How can I understand what I got? Because a lot of the times with conditions like CP, autism, a lot of parents don't even know what these things mean. Because they never did it before until their child was diagnosed. So your first job is to become a student of that condition. Say, I want to understand this condition my own child, and then what are the next steps? And then you then begin to, while you're understanding that condition, also be understanding your child. Because your child is not the condition. The condition is just a one small part of their life. So also be getting to know your child outside of the condition. And then the next step is to say, what do I need to put in place? So then the next thing is to cast a vision. I know that when you first got pregnant, you had a picture of the kind of life that you wanted your child to live, and then, life offered you what I ordered versus what I got. So now you have to recast the vision and say, what is the vision of the future that I now have for this child that is in front of me? It is that vision that will give you what to run with, because you see this journey, it will be hard. There will be many days that you want to punch a wall. You want to beat people, because you will enter a Nigerian hospital. One stupid nurse will tell you, is this one a child? And then it will take all of the Holy Spirit inside of you not to punch out, because you're like, is this one okay? However, when you have a picture of a desired future for your child and you are walking from the end to where you are, from my own life, it was simple. My dad was clear. This one was going to become a lawyer. So how do we get there from where we are? So we're going to walk backward. The goal, end point is lawyer, but how do we get to lawyer from where we are? First thing is she needs to go to school. And she has to go to primary school. But here we are with a child that cannot even sit down. Abi, this child cannot sit down. This child cannot use her hand. Her eyes are crossed. We're not even sure what she's seeing well or she's not seeing well. But it be like say she dey hear everything wey dey happen for this house, sha. So we're going to build on that ability to hear. We're going to take her to school. We're going to tell them that don't worry, she can hear you. You people should not worry. She can hear you. And the thing is, she's also talking when she wants to talk. So this girl can talk. So we're going to tell them that she can hear you and she can talk when she wants to talk. Sha, don't worry, just be teaching her. And then I go to school. Takes about a term. And then the teachers figure out, oh my God, this child is smart. She's actually learning everything we're saying here. She's just not showing it. Then And like they say, the rest really was history. The minute they figured out I could learn, my dad wasn't stopping. She can learn, she will learn everything. I'm going to put you where all the learning opportunities that exist in this life, you will get it. And the truth was, they didn't stop trying to improve my condition. I was getting therapy every day. I started not being able to sit with a lot of therapy. I started sitting. We continued. At some point, they even recommended surgeries. We did it. I remember taking time off school to go and do a surgery. And I think I was like in primary 5. I was supposed to be going to primary 6 or something. My mother went to this school and told them, my child is going to be out of school for the next 1 year. Listen to this story. Please, can I have the entire what's it called? That term plan and the year plan for the 3 terms. Like, give it to me, plus list of textbook. The child was looking at my mom like, this man okay. Well, he gave her, because they already have it anyway. So they gave her. People went to the market, bought all the textbook plus the curriculum. Then she said, yeah, let's pack our bag and go to the hospital. They say you're going to be there for a long time. In between procedures, my mom was busy marking, this is what you're working on today. You're working on this tomorrow. And she thought herself into a homeschool lesson teacher. I finished 1 year of schoolwork from the hospital bed. I came back to school. I should have officially lost a year, right? Technically, because again, I didn't go to school for 1 year. I left school, and then so they were like, oh, she didn't come to school last year, so she has to repeat the class. So my mom didn't argue. She said, sure, let her repeat the class. And then in her mind, she said, now you go promote her when you time. When I got to the class, 2 weeks in, I was bored. Every single thing they were teaching in that class, I taught at home. So the teacher himself noticed this girl's bored. So he went to the head of the school and said, can I move this girl to year 7? Like, they're like, but she means, I don't know, but she knows the content. Like, can we move her to the next class? So even if your child cannot, for any reason, medical or otherwise, has to be out of school, what happened to homeschooling?
Yes.
That was homeschooled. That was hospital schooled. So it started with a picture of a future. That was what was driving those interventions. It wasn't because anybody was talking about homeschooling in the 90s. It was because we had a picture of a future, and whatever was going to take, we're going to get there. And that's what parents need to begin to think about. So many parents are focused on not sitting. My child is not working. My child is not talking. So what if that child, does that mean that they don't comprehend what is being done around them? No.
Yeah.
We need to be focusing on strengths. We need to be focusing on strengths and then building those strengths out.
Yeah.
Because when you build those strengths out.
Okay. I don't know. I think we lost Miss Toby. Can everyone confirm if they can hear me? You just use your emojis and confirm if you can hear me, and I would know if it's from my end or I lost Miss Toby. Great, Oluyemisi. Thank you for confirming that you can hear me.
Okay, I'm back.
Thank you, Anne. Okay, welcome back.
Yeah,
So
that
we're
was
just
from my end.
okay. All right. I mean, your mom, I saw a comment in the chat that said your mom has a resilient spirit. Not a lot of people do not have that resilience. I think we need to even do another entire conversation about building resilience within you.
My parents are not very okay people.
They were not to your benefit.
With a picture though. It started with a picture. It was a picture of a future. Like, it was almost like this is where we are going and we're keeping it front and center. So no matter what life throws at us with this condition, and trust me, my condition can throw curveballs. That's how they will take me to school. They will call them, come and pick your child something.
Oh my.
Okay.
I mean, this really inspiring, and it just shows like the importance of resilience, even as a parent, as a guardian, as a caregiver. And a lot of the times, hearing you talk, I was like, oh, this is amazing. But a lot of the times, there are other parents that do not have the resources like to do therapy, to even do all some of the surgeries you went through. But I think that it's not to look at beyond, not look at what you do not have, but look at what you have
What
and
do
what you
you
can do
have?
with what you have,
What you
and
have. I
to
tell people all
raise
the
a
time,
child.
the things that are available now were not available in my time. You needed to drive. I mean, for those who live in Lagos, when I was growing up, for you to access therapy, you needed to. We were living in a place called Abulegba. The closest therapy clinic was in Igbobi. It was at least a 90 minutes drive. It was unrealistic for anybody. So obviously, we were not going to last. I'm not the only child in my family. We're like five. There's no way. The rest children will not eat me. If we're doing it cannot, somebody,
It's really
it's
amazing.
not gonna work. So what did my parents do?
Yeah.
We did therapy at home. My mom would go to this therapy clinic like once a month. She will stand there with the therapist. Anything that you are doing, you will explain. No, that time there was no smartphone and she could not record. So
Yes.
she will now use pencil. She'll be drawing the thing, like she'll be drawing the positions that the guy is doing. She'll be drawing it. She will, like with stick figures, she will draw everything. She's carried daughter. She will draw everything. She even write in description. When she
Wow.
gets home, after a while, my mom had a whole folder of therapy routines. She now went and she now photocopied this folder and shared it to every single adult in my house. If you were an uncle, an auntie, a family member, if you shall mistakenly land inside my parents' house as an adult, my mother is going to share this therapy folder with you. And then she will do a watch one, teach one session. She will actually teach you. She will carry me. It's me that is the guinea pig of everybody. She will carry me. She will do it. She will say, do after me. Every single adult was taught
It's really
how
amazing.
to
I'm so sorry to
do
cut you
therapy.
short, but like I feel like your story is really inspiring, and I'm so happy that we had you on this session of Open Mic with Disabilities to talk about these issues and inspire others. And because of your parents' resilience, a lot of kids, about 8,500 kids and 130
Actually, it's
plus kids.
850. So I don't know if those
Okay.
numbers were. It's actually 850. I think the numbers were
No,
just
okay, because okay, great. Thank you for clarifying. 850 kids with
yes,
cerebral palsy have been able to benefit because one parent decided that, you know what, this condition is not going to define my child's future. And as a
yes, so
result, lives are being transformed. And I want everyone that is on those calls to just take that excellent lesson. And at this point, I would open the mic up, read questions. Anybody that has any question, any story to share, please either drop it on the chat or request for the mic and to speak very precisely, and then we'll take those questions. And then please feel free to share some of the nuggets that you've learned here. Let someone know there's a conversation like this that has been ongoing by since February, every month except for July because of DIP conference, like I said in my introduction. Every month we talk about issues around disabilities and how we can reduce the stigma, how we can inclusivity. And yes, Busa, you actually had a question earlier. Does anyone else do I have any questions in the comments or in the chat? All right, Busa, you can go ahead, please. Hello.
I see Busaya's hand is raised.
It's raised. Busa, can you unmute yourself and ask the question? I'm looking at the comments and to see if I can find any question I'm yet to find. Bear in mind that again, you can share your story. Go
Hi,
ahead,
Debbie.
Busayo. Now you're hi.
Okay, all right. So we're trying to just get me to be unmuted. All right. So I enjoyed the conversation from Toby. It's really inspiring looking at it from a parental standpoint, right? Because I'm not even married yet, talk less of even having kids. So I don't know what God is going to give to me. But it's also just being able to have that background knowledge, to just be able to say, hey, whatever comes, however it comes, right? There are people who have been through this journey before and even still in the journey, and there are tangible results, and you look at the successes that Toby has had, right, is really inspiring. And there are people who are even complete, right, and they still do not have that level of success, right? But my question now is going to target more of inclusive education. And I want to know, what exactly do you think are the roles of government and agencies, right, in driving inclusive education in Nigeria? So we know we've listened from the side of the parents, right, caregivers, and children, again, they can't make some certain decisions on their own until they get to a certain age. But from a government standpoint, from an agency standpoint, right, what are the roles, or how do they drive inclusive education in Nigeria?
So government has a couple of roles to play. First of all, it's number one, government has to, first of all, define what inclusive education means to government. Because right now it looks like government is confused. I can't lie. So when they define what they mean by inclusive education, then they need to then they need to turn it into a proper project. What do we need as a government for education to truly be inclusive? Is definitely we will need more teachers. We will need to train our teachers differently. We will need materials. We will then need education. Our national orientation agency will need to get to work. I hope that we have state orientation agencies that will then deal with the stigma and the things that come around your society. Because again, you're in societies where people still think that a child with cerebral palsy is a snake. It's not. No matter how many policies government implement, people will still not put their children in the same class with a child that is quote unquote a snake, until somebody changes their mindset around those things. So there's a lot that government needs to do, and I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much for that question. Um, can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So thank you so much answering that question of I can't find any questions or stories or hands. So it means that we last session, just to show you how on the call today that have not been following the conversation, woman share her story, her getting access to then a community of guardians and parents with disabilities that share resources on how to raise a child with disability, her being a person with disability too, by the way. So these are the kind of conversations we are having with OpenMicForDisabilities. And yes, we'll be coming again next month, September, with OpenMicForDisability. Just follow us on all social media channels, and then we'll have that conversation again with another, of course, engaging topic that pushes the needle forward towards dismantling stereotypes and reducing the stigma and ensuring inclusive society for all. Before I close out the session today, I don't know if Crystal is still on the call for closing statement. That's my executive director of the IREDE Foundation. And while I confirm that, I would want our guest speaker. I've heard one amazing story that she shared. I've been privileged to hear a lot of stories from her. And I think I want her to share that, because a lot of times when we say these things, people just think, oh, yours is just an isolated case. Oh, you were just lucky to have the best parents. But we're trying to say that it can happen. It is still happening. And so I don't know, some weeks ago, you were sharing a story about this model
Oh
child
yeah.
that is, please
Okay,
share
so
that.
some of the parents, let me even look for one of the parents on the call that I'm going to use as story. Okay, I've already caught
Okay.
her. She's not going to be upset. So there's a parent on this call. Her daughter
Okay.
is probably 6, and like joke, this is how this girl was to become tech CISO at 6 years old.
Wow.
But they will tell me that, oh, she's non-verbal. Guess what? Her mother lives in Ife, in Osun State. They don't even live in Lagos. So before you think, oh, it's because you're in Lagos, you have access to this, you have access to that. No. It is a function of intentional parenting. I remember when I first started working with this parent, I would constantly, she would constantly call me and be like, oh, she's not talking. I'm like, I don't care whether she's talking or not. I care what she can comprehend. So when you talk to her and tell her to do stuff, does she show you that she can hear you? Like, yes, she knows what she's doing. I'm like, okay, so we're going to forget whether she's talking or not, and we're going to keep teaching her stuff. Today, Auntie wants to turn to Texas. Every single laptop and phone in that house is in trouble. She has repainted the wall with all her crayons and pencils. And her mom is always like, Astobi, you will pay me for paint. I'm like, I beg. Is it my fault that you did not check well before you allowed us to grab the marker? But this is the same child that the average person would have said, oh, what's the return on investment on trying to educate this child?
Yes.
So, one of my friends just shared her daughter's result. She was best in year 7. She's in secondary school now, and I started working with her when she was in preschool. She's in secondary school now. She was best in year 7. She's going to year 8 next month. And she is a child with cerebral palsy that does not even have neck control, not to talk of being able to sit unaided.
Wow.
Yet, she was the best performing student in the whole of year 7. She is going on to year 8. She's in secondary school. So these things are possible. However, we have to be willing to put in the work. Trust me, these 2 parents I just gave their examples. The work that they are doing is the work some people will use to raise 3 children. But that's the work they are doing to raise 1. But the question is, and I remember asking my dad at some point after I became an adult, my dad was like, look, it's worth it. It's worth it. Because in the end, yes, it was work, but it is worth every minute that we spent as a family just ensuring that you were able to access that education. So yes, parents have to decide what's worth it for them.
Wow, thank you so much. Again, we have come to the end of Open Mic with Disabilities for August edition. Thank you so much for joining this conversation. I hope that you've left here with resources, because Ms. Toby has shared a lot of resources with respect to low-cost technologies, even AI technology, and I hope that you, beyond the resources, you've also been inspired to know that inclusive education in Nigeria is possible. Is it hard work? Yes, but is it hard work that is worth it? Absolutely yes. Okay, I have a question. I'll take that question because I've been itching for a question. Okay, so before just take an extra like 3 minutes and then we'll round up. Apologies. So my question will be, this is from Motivayo. My question will be, because we understand that it might actually take a while for the Nigerian government to attend to some of the issues you have highlighted for children with cerebral palsy, or even any type of disability at all. What is your guide for how NGOs who work in this space can better help parents to be intentional, positive when bringing a child with disability? Okay, I think that
So
yes,
thank you,
she has spoken into
Motrayo, for
that a
that.
bit, but perhaps she wants to add
Yeah,
something to that, then we'll.
thank you, Motrayo, for that question. And funny enough, it's one of the hardest questions to answer, to be honest. It's one of the hardest questions to answer, because it's one of the hardest things to change is a mindset. If parental mindset is faulty from the scratch, it takes a lot to fix it. So what we do is that we continue to showcase the success stories. We continue to tell parents what is possible. We continue to show them that they're not the only ones on this journey. Well, why support groups are powerful. For a very long time, I wasn't a fan of support groups, but I think in 2023, I had to cave. I had to, create a support group for our parents, because I realized that when they hear other parents saying, my child did this was what I did, it helps them to actually begin to see what's possible. So
Yeah.
we need to begin to we should be showcasing the stories, but we should also be encouraging parents to help themselves. That's one of the things that we've also learned to do as an organization. So a parent reaches out to me now and they say, blah, 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 my child is, where is your location? Once I hear your location, I start to think of who is a veteran parent that maybe has been with us for a while and is doing well with their child that also lives in that location. And then I pair the two of them. I'm like, hey, you, handhold this person for me. Because parents, it's just like how children listen better to children. Parents listen better to parents. It just works. So I think that we as nonprofits, it's something that we can, it's something that we can use as a tool. And then, then we should also just cross-pollinate and support each other, so to speak. Cross-pollination is also very helpful. I hope that helps, Portrayal.
Yeah. Thank you so much for answering that question again. And I hope that answers your question, Mutuna. Okay, yes, it does. All right, great. I promise you this is the final time I'm going to say we're wrapping up this conversation, because we're indeed wrapping up the conversation. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. Do well to, share the nuggets you've learned, the resources that you've seen, you've learned in the course of this conversation. And do your bit to dismantle the stereotype, reduce the stigma, and stand up for against discrimination towards persons and children with disability. Make the society better. There's no reason why we should continue to perpetuate stereotypes when we've clearly seen that there is a path towards a beautiful, inclusive future as long as we do the hard work. So have a wonderful afternoon and bye for now. Thank you, Mrs. Toby, for taking the time to have this amazing conversation again. I forgot
You
to
are
thank you in my
welcome.
remarks. I didn't want to keep
You're
anyone
welcome.
longer.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
thank you, thank you. Please spread the word about Open Mic with Disabilities, okay? So that you're not hoard information. Let everybody know that yes, there is this conversation whereby we don't just yap, we don't just talk, but you get something, resources, you build communities, have support systems that will significantly transform your life, either as a guardian or a person with disability, or even the work that you do within an OPD, that's Organization of Persons with Disability, or civil society. I have talked too much and I'm leaving. Bye. Have a great afternoon.